Good morning to 168, day 168. Late today. You guys are all here still working away. We now have the cement mixer going for some unknown reason. We are going to be laying some blocks and doing the front of the pool as well. So let me show. So we actually have the rebar starter bars being put in. I think we've got to put a beam around first, and that's when then got to be concreted, and then they're blocks on top of that, I think. I'm not too sure. Either way, it'll be a beam at the top. But yeah, normally with the amount of pressure that's going to be coming from the water pushing that way, you'd have a beam that's tied into here and here. That will be obviously preventing that being pulled away. That would be concreted. It'll only be a small beam, probably about 4 or 5 inches. And then blocks would go to height, and there'd be another beam around the top as well. So. And then there'll be another beam, believe it or not, on the actual outer one as well. I'm not too sure why they do that, but again, they would beam all of them. I don't quite know why they've still got the rebar on the outside, because we're only going to go up about 1 block. So I need to look at that in a minute. Roof is being blown off of all material and shite, because you don't want to be pouring concrete onto that. Forward and his guys are just going through the actual woodwork to make sure that everything's supported properly. We're now going above and beyond. Now we've got extra time. We're just going to literally go above and beyond to make sure that this goes according to plan. The rebar boys are up there finishing off some of their stuff, and again, extra strengthening. The beam bars that were obviously going to be done later after the pool, we're going to get those done now. We may as well get them done and out of the way. This one is meant to be finished, but I do want to go out and have a look myself, because I'm very mindful we're assuming it is, but I haven't seen that it is, so I want to go out there and make sure that's done. Today, we actually got the electrician in the background bending conduit, so he's doing stuff as well. Then I also want the guys to be going around today, and anything like this, I want this skimmed, and I want that sealed. This is concrete, so I want that with a wetcrete all over it. I want all of the wetcrete on these beams here, the corner stuff, so anything which is poured concrete, I want sorted out, chipped off or filled, and then wetcreted to ensure that it's protected. We need to get that fill of concrete if it's not already. I mean, there is concrete on the rebar, so I assume it is, but we need to get that plastered. So yeah, front blocks on the swimming pool need to be sorted as soon as possible. We'll get that plastered this week, because we're going to have a gap of a week, obviously, so stuff needs to be done. That would be done later on, but at the moment we're now trying to fill up a week's worth of work. Thankful to the carpenters for chipping my floor to pieces. So yeah, anywhere like that needs to be boarded up and filled. This needs to be boarded up and filled. This all needs to be boarded up and filled. This needs to be chipped off. And all crap like this needs to be pulled off. There's quite a bit of it in and around this sort of building, but again, wetcrete all of the actual inside concrete beams all the way around, as well as on the externals as well. And on this particular building, for instance, we actually have plaster that's been taken to there, so we need to wetcrete this beam that goes all the way around here. That needs to be wetcreted, and then once that's done, again, we can plaster. This whole wall can be plastered. So can all of this. This grease trap, that needs to be benched and plastered as well. I think that's probably one of the only ones, certainly on this side, it's the only one left that needs to be benched. All the others have been done. Again, you can see daylight there, so that needs to be boxed and filled. Saying that, I think that's the toilet, so they'll probably box the outside. So I'm not sure what they'll do there. Probably stick an elbow on it to get it out the wall, and then put it on after that. Same here, you can see the outside. That's the other thing they love to do, stick their bottles everywhere. So bloody annoying. I'm not too sure what that is. It's obviously a conduit going upstairs, but there is a sink here, and the water comes from downstairs, so I'm not too sure what that one is there, but either way, I need to work out what's what. Oh, I know this is actually a vent pipe. Anyway, so there's plenty of stuff that needs to be done, so we need to compile a list today and use this week wisely. Once the rebar guys are freed up a bit up on the roof here, they need to build all the rebar on here so we can actually mount the steps. These also need to be put in and fixed so we can actually get those poured. Bristol's here, so I'm going to see what he's going to be up to in a minute. So we have quite a few guys here, but at this present time, they're not actually, volume-wise, that busy. So we need to talk to them about what we do for this week. Hi, I was in here. I've talked to the guy about who's going to be doing the insides. Is there anything at all we can do in here whilst we're waiting for the roof? But they're technically, no, not really. All of these walls have to be battened, but we can't batten it until the wood's taken down. So when this wood comes down, all of these pieces of wood will be cut in half, and the 2x2s will be put onto the wall here, probably every 3 feet. The roof itself will be 4x2'd, 2x4'd even, and the plaster will be going on. But obviously we can't do any of that until the roof is poured. I'm sure they didn't need to be doing this. So this is a perfect example. Yeah, I get what they're doing. They're trying to keep busy, but all we have is the gaps upstairs that need to be sanded down here. We don't need sand in between. All we need to do is just work out where the water came through last night, and that is pretty much where the concrete is going to come through. So just sand the lines where the concrete could potentially penetrate. You don't need to sand the whole floor. I'll talk to them about that in a minute. It's just something they've done to try and keep themselves busy. The electrician's still taking conduit through. What makes me laugh is that they knew we were meant to be pouring yesterday morning, yet they're here doing conduits in where would have been poured already. It's unbelievable. I've actually talked to everybody and made sure they understand if you don't do what you need to do, we're pouring, which means it's done. And yesterday I've had the plumber here pretty much all day and the electrician here all day. So I'm not too sure what they don't understand about us pouring. But anyway, so the positive of us not being able to pour is that some of the stuff that should have been bloody done is now getting done. So bemused, but at least it's going to get done. Again, what I would have done this morning also, if I was here first thing, is just seen where the water is on the floor and gone upstairs and ensured that it was covered. That's clearly going to leak, so that needs to be sorted. We also need to go around at some stage and make sure all the bolts are in place and tightened as they should be. Again, we've got water here. So somewhere along the lines, water has come through at this point. So we need to make sure we get that sorted. There's clearly water here and here. So water's come through here somehow, somewhere. So again, we just need to work out, obviously water has given us an indication where the weaknesses are. So we need to try and figure that out, because that's technically what, it looks damp up there. So look, it's coming through there on here. So again, we just need to make sure that we're actually putting the tape on to ensure that we're going to be stopping the concrete doing the same. Okay, what else? Obviously more conduit coming through here. Lots more conduit appearing now that we've had the pressure of the pour happening. Holes that need to be taped up as well, so anything that's been drilled through that wasn't needed needs to be sorted out. We need to fix the front formwork through this front beam. That's not been done, as neither is this, so that needs to be done as well. So this is an inner boxing, and that is the outer boxing. So it's just literally making sure that you can fix through to hold both sides on. So and the other thing we need to do as well, once we get this out of the way, is to board this up as well. So until we're ready, we don't want obviously water leaking through there. So as you can see, this is soaked down here. I mean, a lot of the water does rush into this little corner here. There's a low spot, but there's clearly gaps in the wood here that need to be sorted out. Again, their attitude is as long as it's sand down, you're okay, but that's not how it works. We need to make sure that gap there is taped on the inside so then water comes through. Morning, mate. So anyway, we can see daylight. Just need to get that sorted. Outside, we have the manholes. So all 3 manholes are now in. That one's been plastered, but I'm not sure if it's a scratch coat. So they've been scratch coated, so they now need to be plastered as well. And then what we need to do is put, obviously you can see the pipe work here. The pipe is coming quite high on this, so we need to put marl in here to about here and get that compacted inside. The same with this one, as you can see the pipe's coming in here, so this one again needs to be right down, and this one over here is coming right at the very top, so again that needs to be marled, and then we need to compact all of it, and then that's what we're going to put the bench on top of. So we can't finish it off until the pipe work is actually taken in, so we know exactly where the pipe needs to come in, and more importantly where the pipe needs to exit. So we're going to have to look at getting that done as well at some stage today off the lines that we've already pulled off the wall. So there's a pipe there, look. So we need to make sure that George turns up at some stage today and gets his finger on that one. And then obviously we're going to need to arrange to get the excavator guy out again to chase this up, so we can actually put the pipework right through over there to the manhole, which again still hasn't been benched as yet. So yeah, get the big roller, he'll be doing it quicker. So we've got the wetcrete going on, but he wants to use a toothbrush rather than a proper roller. So I've got a toothbrush at home, I'll bring it for you, it's even smaller.
Different. Oh no, that he does different. I mean, good.
Anyway, I was actually here talking about where we are with the grease traps, manholes, etc. But one thing we do need to do, it's holes like this all the way around the building. We need to get them scraped out, wire brushed. We need to get them actually backfilled with mortar. And then obviously, as I said, around the other side of the building, we need to obviously wetcrete all this sort of stuff. So all the door openings that have actually been made out of concrete, they need to be wetcreted. And again, anything that's obviously bare at the moment, the elements, we need to get those done too. I'm not too sure what we're going to do with this. I don't really want to touch it, that's a plumber's job. But I don't want to land up having the aggro we had last time, that's for sure. So let me go around the front of the building and give you an overview of what's going on. So again, they've got 4 window openings on this side of the building that have all had some form of concrete widening, and that's because they've not read the drawings properly and done the window openings wide enough. So they've had to obviously chisel that back and then finish it with the formwork itself and then pour the concrete. So let me show you where we are around here. The front of the building, again, formwork all the way around as it should be. Still need to finish that corner over there for some unknown reason, and this corner here. Same problem here, look, you've got rebar there sitting there open to the elements. That needs to be sprayed and that needs to be boxed up and poured. Not too sure what that is hanging off the wall there, that needs to be taken off. This rebar and this conduit needs to be cut out. So there's a snag list that we could easily compile very, very quickly. And we've also got to make sure that there's enough jacks in everything as well, because also when the concrete goes on above, there's going to be a lot of weight on here. So there are still jacks in the actual openings, but I'm not too sure if we've got enough up. So we need to get those done. I think this has been pulled, this one, but this one is where the swimming pool electrical connections for all the lights, it's boxed in there. But again, there's no reason why we can't actually get that boxed on this side and get that poured. As you can see here, look, what an absolute mess. We need to go through them, and again, you can keep stuff and you can bin stuff. Keep, bin. You know, we need to get rid of all this stuff. So we need to arrange to get this all taken away. And then things like this in the UK, people want metal. Take it in, weigh it in, get paid. But here, there seems to be a real lack of want/respect for metal and the costs associated with it. Maybe it's because they're not paying for it. But anyway, that sort of stuff, there's no reason why we can't just get that taken over to the other side, just get it gone. We've got these concrete rocks that have come out the ground. That come out the ground, obviously, with regards to the actual fence post. We've got another one here, for instance. Again, I didn't really want them in the ground because I thought it was a waste of time, but we've got another couple still here. Look, there's 3 here. They need to be cut out and removed. But again, the concrete base itself needs to come out as well, because obviously it's just going to be an aggro, so they've got to be taken up. And obviously they're over here, laying on the floor. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's just loads of them. So we need to get all this gone. A waste of bloody money, and now aggro to get rid of. I basically said I didn't want it, but anyway. Then obviously we need to get an excavator around it at some stage to remove and replace all of these rocks in the right places as well. So that's got to be sorted out. The boys obviously are starting on the pool. I'm not too sure again whether they're going to be doing the beam first or whether they're going to be doing the blocks first, but either way, they've rebarred all the way around. As I said, I don't think they needed to do the rebar as high on the front because I think we're only going up one more course. Pretty sure that's all we're doing. So I need to get the drawings out and find out what the architect and engineer have recommended and ensure that we follow what's been designed by the engineer. That's what they're paid for after all. Around here, again, another piece that needs to be filled. And then again, a whole piece needs to be wetcreted all the way around. I'm really not too sure what that is. Marl. one of those whites there, that needs to be taken out, filled. Definitely needs to be filled. And again, wetcrete all the way around. The staircase itself, apart from the steps which we'll leave on because we don't want them damaged, has pretty much been removed. But again, things like all the blocks, conduit, I don't know what the hell that's here. All that needs to be removed, obviously. So we need to get that done. Again, wetcrete the steps, wetcrete all the way around here. Again, fill any gaps all the way around, and make sure we wetcrete anything that's obviously bare. Someone's hammer on the floor. And then we've also still got to, where this is concerned, we never got around to actually sorting this out properly as well. So we need to dig that out and make this higher. So this needs to be higher around here, and it needs to be lower down there, so when the water comes around, it finds its way into this hole here. So yeah, we just need to make sure we get that sorted out as well before any form of rain comes. Other than that, again, it's just trying to find a snag list that we can sort out, and then start getting plastering, because in the moment it obviously looks like a mess. So that wall there, if that was all plastered white, it would be a very, very different look. So there's plenty to do at some stage, but again, it's just making sure we get most of the bulk work out the way first before we start making it look pretty. Otherwise, before you know it, it can end up ruining the work done. So it's just trying to hold off on certain things until we're ready for other things. 11:15. Yeah, 11:15. I'll update you in the next hour or two. Okay, so we're 4:15. Let's have a quick look around. Hey, here, boys.
Yeah, Governor.
All good?
Yeah, man.
Okay. So today, as we know, there's a lot of stuff we couldn't do. So it's a bit of tidying up, getting the place a little bit more organised, going through some of the stock. We did manage to get the swimming pool front wall taken up to nearly to height. So the front one is nearly at height anyway, so I need to get up one more block, which would probably be a beam and a pour. So that's the height needed anyway. So all we'll do is put a beam all the way around that, tie the beam into here, and then take that all around, box that and pour that. Here's the same. This obviously is coming up to height as it is now. And what we'll probably do now is obviously tie that into the wall itself, and then do the beam and pour to the height that we need it to, which will have to be this height for the side walls, so the water doesn't come off the side. And the front will be lower by about 1 inch or 2, so the water flows off the front. So that's where we are with that. Let's give it a bit of momentum. We put some more time and effort into the roof today. Most of it is done, but we actually got up there and spent a bit more time up there, and we also need to move the steel off the front and put the smocks through the front as well. We need at least 3 inch on the front. Cement mixer moved to the middle just whilst we've got the actual front done, so we've left it here for now and carried on mixing where it is. And once the rebar boys are finished up on the roof, which I think they're nearly due to, then they'll start actually doing the staircase out here. Here it as is. One thing we have done down here is we started working on the grease trap, which is one we hadn't worked on as yet. So that's now been plastered. Again, we're going to have to fill that with marl. I don't know how it goes to, but we'll fill that with marl to get over some of the actual... I think the way the grease traps work is there's actually, if you see down the bottom in the middle, in the bottom there's probably around about, I don't know, 100 millimetres of space there. So I think the water flows underneath and the back one traps the grease. So I don't think the benching is going to be as essential here. So that will be full of water, I assume. I'll ask them on that. But that's pretty much done. And then we need to take the soil down all the way around this one. And then as we come down here, we need to taper that off. So when it goes around the corner, it's probably around about 3 feet. And that'll continue around the corner. And if I show you around the corner, also we come around here, and then we'll be about 3 feet, and we'll taper off all the way down to there. Whereas you get to the steps are around about 3 foot off the ground, so we'll probably put another step there, I would have thought. And then obviously it'll come around here. So we need to wetcrete everything, as I said. Still a lot of wetcrete needs to be done. So that'll be done around here. The guys have started rolling the front of the building today, so I'm not too sure where they got to on that. Yeah, I'm not seeing any blue down the side of the building here. They've obviously wet-created down in the corner there before they boxed up, because that's ready for pour. And I think they've got to work out what they've got to do here. We need to be very mindful here that the pour man hasn't come, so we don't know how he's going to be taking the water into the pump room, which is directly underneath where we are. Manhole here. So the water is meant to go off the end of the pool into the trough, and it's meant to come round the trough and then be regurgitated into the pump room and eventually come back out into the pool via the 6 jets on the floor. So we're still yet to find out what the pool man wants to do. He's not responding, and he hasn't been out to site as yet, so it looks like we might have to find our own pool person. I'll show you inside, see if there's anything that's changed in here. I don't think there has. Very sandy in here now. This is as is. There's not really a lot done when it comes down to anything else. It's really been today. Bit of stock take, plaster of obviously a manhole down here on one side. We can't bench them at the moment because where I'm concerned we need to get the pipes in first so we can establish the height, and then we know how much marl to put in and then how much benching to be done. So there's not a lot can happen on those until the plumber comes out and does his bit. But I say most of the work's probably been done on the roof today. So I'll get out there in a minute and I'll show you what's been done. Okay, 5:10. The day is closing to an end. Everyone's just gone. Unfortunately, I've had to let some of the guys go because of the gap we now have in workload. It's a real shame. Good lads. But obviously we haven't poured. And because we haven't poured, there's so many things we now just can't do. So if we poured yesterday, I probably could have kept people ticking over for 2 days, because then in 2 days' time we can start looking at taking the jacks down, the formwork, and putting the jacks back up again, and we can then start doing other stuff. But at the moment, there's nothing you can do. So I've just had to trim the workforce by about 25%, which is a real pain. But you know, we're booked in for the 4th of December, which means that 7th or 8th of December we should be in the same situation. So it's a week and a bit of downtime. But anyway, it's a shame when you have to let people go. Certainly when it's someone like here. So there's not a great deal that's changed. We started getting some sand down, but that's reasonably irrelevant at the moment. I said to keep this bit empty for now because we still need to sort out the roof taping. So we've got some guys coming tomorrow that will finish off some bits. Anything which is concrete, as I said in the video earlier on, even here internally, I want them to wetcrete everything. We took the boxing off of the pillars here, for instance. Again, no wetcrete, so we need to get all of those rolled tomorrow. Anything that's concrete, that's visual, I want wetcreted. So again, all up here, all the way along. Going to get all that sorted out. In here, same scenario really. Obviously wetcrete, need to get all that done in here. This is when you can really see the light coming through here, look. So we need to try and get the sand built up on those lines. And we've got water downstairs in our basement now. Pain in the arse. So we need to get that sorted out. I don't really want water down there, it's only just dried out. Can't really see how bad it is. Not disastrous, but it's bad enough, put it that way. So, drainage outside needs to be sorted out, so we need the plumber to come and get that sorted. We can then start wetcreting all around the building. I might actually get some quotes from the masons that are here to start plastering. We might as well start doing some things that we would normally wait after. But obviously when you start pouring concrete onto the roof, obviously the overspill and the splashing is massive. So if you start doing things like plastering and whatever else, then it just ends up getting covered and you have to redo it anyway, so pretty better off holding off on that. And then the roof itself, as far as I'm aware, is complete. We still have to put some tie rods on that have been missed off. But other than that, it looks reasonably finished. So we'll get up there tomorrow and make sure that the rebar boys have finally done what they said they're going to do. They've still got to do the steps here, so once they've done the roof, they can get cracking into that. And also need to make sure that the relevant size smocks are all the way around the building where they should be. Because at the moment, I looked up there today and there's none in this one here. This boxing hill has none, so we need to actually pull that away from the boxing and get some smocks down there, that's for sure. So, still a list of things to do, but we just don't need the volume of people at this present time. So, let's get more of a plan tomorrow and try and edge forward and getting this place complete. Over and out.